Good morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Rich Rogers here with meteorologist Kevin Niewood, and of course, you've probably heard by now about Tropical Storm Hermine.
Yeah,
so
it's been a busy morning.
Yeah,
just a little bit here.
We're going to be talking about that and answering your questions. So
Yeah.
if you have a question, feel free to let us know. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kevin and let him kind of tell you about it. So I'm going to flip the camera around.
We'll get started here. Just want to start off with the latest on the tropical storm watches and warnings. These dark gray counties, we do have tropical storm warnings. That's Allendale, Screven, Jenkins, Emmanuel counties. These are until further notice. And then these pink counties, Jefferson, Glasgow, those are tropical storm watches. Now, I am expecting all of this watch warning activity to be expanded north sometime later on today. It just depends on the thinking from the National Hurricane Center. Right now, coastal hurricane warnings in effect between Swanee River in Florida and Mexico Beach. Tropical storm Hermine could potentially strengthen into a hurricane right before landfall later on tonight. Also, coastal Georgia, Carolina going to be affected by Hermine as well, as tropical storm warnings are in effect from St. Augustine to the South Santee River in South Carolina, and then tropical storm watches are in effect from the Santee River, the South Santee River, all the way to Surf City, North Carolina. So all interests up and down the Georgia Carolina coastline are going to be affected by Hermine. So right now, the latest satellite imagery of Hermine, it's looking pretty, it was looking healthy a little earlier. It looks like convection dying down a little bit, but still a strong tropical storm as it barrels for the Florida Gulf Coast here. Latest advisory from the Hurricane Center just came out at 8 a.m. here. Important to note, it started making its sort of easterly turn here. It's now moving north-northeast at 12 miles per hour. It's also picked up speed. Really, the only major changes, though, from 5 o'clock this morning are the sustained winds, now 65 miles per hour. That makes it a strong tropical storm. It's now 600 miles southwest of Augusta. Also, the central pressure has dropped to 992 millibars. That's just telling us it's a strengthening storm here. So the track hasn't changed from this morning. We always call this the cone of uncertainty, because really Hermine could go anywhere inside this cone. It could go as far south as, say, that's St. Mary's right there, or it could go as far north as Augusta, and it could give us a wallop. So current thinking from the National Hurricane Center, this makes landfall around 2 a.m. Friday just south of Tallahassee as a minimal Category 1 hurricane. This would be the first Florida hurricane landfall since Wilma in October of '05. So once that happens, it's going to weaken a little bit, but fortunately not too much. Friday afternoon, this is when things start to get interesting for us. 2 o'clock, we're dealing with a tropical storm of winds sustained 50 miles per hour as it approaches the CSRA. So what we're worried about here, it's going to depend on how far north or south the storm goes. Obviously, the further north it goes, the more rain we're going to get, the more severe weather we're going to get. Really, either way, we're worried about significant widespread flooding. I don't want to delve too much into rainfall amounts, at least by county. I will say in general, we could see a widespread anywhere as much as potentially 7 inches of rain by the time this storm moves through. In certain areas, that could be as high as 10 inches, maybe even a foot of rain. Obviously, that's an incredible amount of rainfall. I know we're in a drought right now. That'll at least help us a little bit. The drought's going to be gone by the time this gets through. Really, 10 inches of rainfall, that's going to be crippling amounts of flooding in certain areas. So that's why we're monitoring the system closely. The one good thing is it is going to continue to pick up speed as it does approach our area. By Saturday, it'll be done. 2 a.m. Saturday, in fact, it'll be crossing into North Carolina as it exits the CSRA and continues at the eastern seaboard, where it's actually forecast to stall just east of the mid-Atlantic states. But either way, it's going to be done with Augusta by the time, and the CSRA by the time we get to early Saturday morning. So here's tomorrow's forecast here. I haven't really shown this on air yet, but this is what I'm calling for as of the 8 a.m. advisory. East-southeast winds by tomorrow afternoon into the evening, sustained at least 15 to 30 miles per hour, gusts up to 45 miles per hour. The main threat is going to be the rainfall by far. We're expecting heavy rain, and because of the amount of rain that we could see, which will start as early as Friday morning, and it was just going to last all day long. That's why we have that widespread significant flooding potential, the gusty winds as well. The other thing with tropical storms, if depending on how far north it goes, there can also be an isolated tornado threat. Right now, it looks like we'll mostly be on the storm will mostly go to our south, at least a little bit, which would put us on the quote-unquote weak side of the storm. But if the storm did trend more towards the north, and it passes to any counties that it passes to the north of, that's when an isolated tornado threat could become possible. So that's still very far out, and it's kind of tough to nail down that forecast so early right now. I know National Hurricane Center is doing advisories every 3 hours. The next one comes out at 11 a.m. That's going to be a major update. So we'll be anticipating that. Hurricane hunters have had flights into this storm all morning. In fact, what time is it? It's almost 9:30. Another flight is about to take off in 20 minutes here. That's going to be able to help us out for the 11 a.m. advisory. So that's what we know right now. I'm sure a lot of you have got to have some questions. Rich is going to help me with addressing some of your concerns.
That's right, Kevin. So we do have some questions, so I'm going to read a few of them, and
Okay.
you've addressed a lot of them, but some people may want to know a little more specifically for their. What I'm gonna look through list, and one question is about schools, and
Yes,
I don't think that we have had any school closures yet, but one person's wanting to know, do they know about it, and what are they doing about it? We don't know yet, do we?
That is an excellent question. I wish I had some kind of role in the decision of whether or not schools are going to be open or closed. Unfortunately, that is 100% out of my hands. That's going to be up to all of the BOEs of each county, boards of education of each county, and superintendents. What I can say is football games are starting to be rescheduled. I know just recently a couple of games have been scheduled. I know Nathan Palm earlier this morning announced one rescheduled game. I believe our Game Night Live game may be rescheduled.
And that's on WJBF.com right now.
That's
right.
So. Exactly. Exactly.
That's what I was working on before we came in here.
Fox Creek at Silver Bluff, I believe, was rescheduled for tonight, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, but
I forget the time off the top of my head, but I believe it was tonight or something.
It's right there on our homepage right now, so just go to WJBF.com if you're interested in those football game changes.
Yeah.
And we have a question. Let's see. This one comes from Brenda in Barnwell, and she's asking, will we get a lot of high winds?
Right now, because let me go back to I'll go back to the forecast track for you, Brenda, because this is pretty much what I'm going off of for Barnwell. Since you're further south, you may see a little bit stronger winds than most of us. 2 p.m., where this will be approaching Barnwell County, we're looking at winds sustained of 50 miles per hour. So, yes, you will see some high winds here. And, of course, the problem is the more rain we get and then the higher winds we get, that's going to cause some tree fall. So power outages are definitely going to be a concern really all across the CSRA, but definitely the further south you are, the closer you're going to be to potentially where Hermine might end up. So that's an excellent question.
Yeah, Barnwell County about right here.
Yep.
And we do want to stress again that the southern portion of the CSRA will probably see the worst impacts from this.
That's right, especially with the rainfall. The further south you are, the higher the rainfall amounts are going to be. I know I said generally earlier, possibly as much as 7 inches, could be locally higher, especially in Barnwell County because you are further south. But still, a lot changes with this cone, and there's going to be another update at 11 o'clock. So, I mean, the current timing right now has this affecting us by Friday afternoon. The worst of it would hit Friday afternoon. The first of it would start Friday morning. But that could change. We got to wait and see what the next Hurricane Hunter mission finds, and the results of that mission are going to be broadcast at 11 a.m. with the next update. So a lot can change, but this is what we're going off of right now from the 8 a.m. advisory, and definitely Barnwell County heads up because you're further south, and you're going to maybe see just a little bit more in the way of wind, a little bit more in the way of rainfall.
And then Kimberly is in Sandersville, and she's asking about the same kind of thing, and the same job is true for your area, but
pretty much. At least the good news for Washington County, you are a little bit further west, so that could at least help you out with maybe just a little bit less rainfall than, say, what Barnwell County could see. And again, that's going off of this specific advisory. This could change, but as of right now, Still expect some pretty poor conditions tomorrow across Washington County, including Sandersville. Again, very heavy rainfall and the potential of flooding. And if I remember correctly, Washington, Sandersville County right now is under that tropical storm watch, and I suspect that could change to a tropical storm warning as further updates from the National Hurricane Center are issued and as the storm continues to approach the Florida Gulf Coast.
So these pink counties here
Yep.
are under a tropical storm watch?
Yeah, pink counties are under a watch, red counties are under a warning, and since it's early, that's why you don't see anything north of these counties. I think watches and warnings are going to be extended further north.
And what that means, of course, is winds at least 39 miles per hour or greater with a tropical storm watch or a warning. And, of course, a warning means those winds are expected, and a watch means they are possible.
That's right.
So
exactly. This is the latest satellite imagery of Hermine. Earlier this morning, it had another pretty good flare-up of we call this stuff convection here, thunderstorms and wind and whatnot. Noticing convection appears to be weakening a little bit. It's kind of lopsided. A lot of it is on the right side or the east side of the storm, which can be very typical sometimes. So notice if this system were to go to our south, you see this side of the storm is not a whole lot going on. So that's why we say a lot can change. If this goes further south, that of course would be good for us, but if this goes further north, that would be very bad for us because of how lopsided the storm is right now. So we just got to wait and see what happens. Good questions, though.
And we're getting a lot of questions about the place that you live in, places, this county, that county, and it's a little hard to say, well, you're going to get 5.2 inches of rain and you're going to get 41-mile-an-hour winds. We can't say that yet.
Yeah, it's just too far out. I wish we could get street level in your backyard, but it's just too far away.
The general idea is most of the CSRA is going to get a lot of rain.
That's right.
And probably some gusty winds, and we have the threat for isolated tornadoes, especially south of Augusta.
Depending on how far north the system goes, that'll be the severe weather threat with isolated tornadoes. We just got to wait and see on that, but it won't be out of the question if it takes a more northerly track than what's forecast. So we just got to wait and see. Good question.
We also have a few folks who are along the coast right now. I guess they may be vacationing in Savannah, Hilton Head, and they're wondering what they can expect there.
Yeah, you are south, so you can expect the worst of this system, unfortunately. Savannah, Hilton Head, Tybee Island, Beaufort County, all the way through the South Carolina low country. You're going to get it pretty bad here with an extraordinary amount of rain. Some of the early estimates for the low country in and around the Charleston area could be as much as 9 inches widespread, locally a foot plus. That's very bad. That would be significant flooding. That would be road closures. In addition to tropical storm force winds, which could cause down trees, power lines, make roads virtually impassable. And that reminds me, because we're talking about flooding here being one of the main concerns. When it comes to driving, turn around, don't drown. Never, ever, ever attempt to drive through floodwaters. It's a good way to die. I'm just going to say it right there. Don't drive through floodwaters. It can and will kill you. Just don't do it. If you see a road closed, it's closed for a good reason. Please don't try to go drive around barricades. I know every emergency manager in the CSRA and in the country will tell you, please, if you see a road closed, don't try to cross it. If you see any kind of floodwaters, anything, don't try to drive through it. Just turn around. It's better be alive than to try to take a shortcut and lose your life.
Kevin, if you could zoom in a little bit on the CSRA, and I'm going to give you a chance to talk to the viewers a little bit, and they want to see maybe some counties and
I can do that. Let me pull that up here
in that zone. And in the meantime, I'll answer a few more questions. School closures, we haven't had any confirmed school closures yet. I know I saw a comment earlier that Jenkins County may be out tomorrow. We haven't confirmed that yet, so I don't want to say that definitely.
Don't want to jump the gun there.
But we will certainly update you when we do know for sure if there are any school closures or delays or whatever the case may be. There are some football game rescheduling. High school football games have been rescheduled, and that is on our website currently at WJBF.com. So you go there and see the latest on that. And I'm going to show it back to Kevin here. He's got a map that's a little closer zoomed in so we can see the counties of the CSRA.
Yeah, notice the northern extent of the, we call this cone of uncertainty, falls right on top of Richmond County in Augusta. So this is why I've been saying the further south you are, the worse off you could be. Now I know a lot of folks, we're always drawn to this center line here, thinking this is exactly where Tropical Storm Hermine is going to go. I should remove that center line because it could go anywhere inside this cone. It could go north. It could pass right through the middle of the CSRA. It could go south and track over this portion of the Atlantic Ocean. We just don't know right now. It's just too early to tell, too far out. So that's just kind of the uncertainty that goes into the science of meteorology. Whenever we forecast tropical systems like that, it's a very interesting line of work where we continue to learn through experience, and that's what makes it fun and interesting. But of course, we want to keep you as informed as possible, and we want to do it as early as we possibly can to give you as much time to prepare for this. And safe to say, everybody in the CSRA can prepare for a tropical storm that will bring very heavy rain and the potential of crippling flooding. So keep that in mind. There's no need to panic. I mean, this is not our first rodeo, so to speak.
No.
We've been through several storms. I mean, I'm sure a lot of folks, you probably remember back to Marco in 1990. That caused unbelievable flooding here. And, one of the things that's actually going to help us out, I want to show you our current drought monitor. I know a lot of folks, especially anybody joining us up in Lincoln, McCormick counties, any northern counties in the CSRA, I'm sure you know just how well you've been dealing with this drought here. This is our current drought monitor. Notice a lot of our counties are in a drought, and the reason why this helps us is because the ground in many places is not saturated. It's very dry, and the reason why that's such a good thing is because the ground will very easily be able to soak up water and absorb it instead of it just running off and pooling up in places. So that's one good thing, especially Lincoln County, or McCormick County here, where we're still seeing an extreme drought. But basically, if this storm tracks anywhere near our counties, you can kiss this drought goodbye. And unfortunately, we're going to get too much of a good thing. I know we need the rain. This is going to be a little bit too much, so the drought's going to go, and I think we're going to be dealing with some flooding. But at least, I know lake levels are currently 5 feet below full pool, but with rainfall of this magnitude, there is still going to be flooding. And notice certain counties like Aiken County, Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale, really not doing too much of a drought. Richmond County, parts of Columbia County, not really seeing a drought. So heavy rainfall in these areas will certainly add up very quickly for us, as opposed to the drought-stricken counties.
Let's go over like a timeline of events, because we've got people asking, when will it begin, when will it end? Okay. And I know that is certainly still apt to change depending on the track of the storm system and the speed at which it moves. But as of now, we are looking at rain beginning. When do you think, Kevin?
I'm thinking as early as Friday morning. Now, keep in mind, this model could change, but here we go into Friday morning, say about 7 o'clock is when we'll start to, when we can start to see this approach our area. Don't take this as this is exactly what's going to happen. This is just a rough idea of what could happen. This will change. As early as 7 o'clock, we can see the first of the rain starting to roll through. Into Friday morning and afternoon we go. We can continue to see some heavy rain. This is our forecast model, which is hinting at maybe Hermine going over our southern counties here. And like I said, you saw how big that forecast cone of uncertainty is. So this could go further north, this could go further south. We just don't know yet, but this is a possible scenario. Through Friday afternoon, we could be dealing with the gusty winds and some of the heavy rainfall. And then once we get into later on Friday afternoon, say like 5, 6, 7 o'clock is when Hermine will start to move away from the CSRA. Now keep in mind, north of the circulation, this is the weak side of the storm, so winds probably won't be so bad at this point. And then the rain will start to come to an end. One of the things that has been rather consistent is how quickly Hermine is going to leave our area. Notice this is just Saturday at 2 a.m. Look, it's already nearing Cape Hatteras. So that is one good thing with the system. It's going to leave very quickly. It's not going to slow down and stall out over our area. So that will at least help keep the rainfall from getting any higher than what we're forecasting. So expect this to move away quickly, and actually Labor Day weekend is going to be beautiful. I just hope the flooding isn't too bad so that we can actually go out and enjoy Labor Day weekend, because it's going to be the first time since early June where the humidity is going to decrease. So
that's right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we will deserve a nice break this weekend after all this rain.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
We
just have to go through a tropical storm to get to it.
One more person is asking, and I know we've covered this already, but in case she didn't hear it, about tornado activity. Can you kind of go over that once more?
Yeah, tornado activity is going to be tough to pinpoint because in a tropical system such as Hermine, tornado activity occurs on what we like to call the right front quadrant. That's this side of the storm. So as Hermine moves north and east, if you're on the right side of the storm, this is going to be where the tornado activity is, not necessarily on this side of the storm. So that's why it's a very uncertain forecast, because all this has to do is go north 70 miles, and then we could be dealing with tornadic activity, or all it has to do is go south a little bit, and there is no tornado threat, and it is primarily a flood threat. Either way, primarily it is a flood threat, and there's going to be tropical storm force winds in the CSRA, so that combined with saturated ground is going to cause power outages and tree fall.
Right. So to reiterate once again, the main threat with this storm is rainfall. And there could be a couple of other issues to deal with as well, but rainfall is the main focus of this storm system. And
the winds will just exacerbate the situation by wet soil. Trees aren't sturdy roots, so they can get pushed over by a breeze such as a tropical storm force wind, and that can cause power outages.
Exactly. Can't rule out power outages tomorrow. So, anything else, Kevin, that we should mention that you can think of?
Download the Live Viper 6 weather app, free for Apple and Android users. It's the best way to stay up to date with the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Myself, George, Rich, we're all going to be here keeping you updated constantly throughout the day. And we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this without a hitch. All you got to do is exercise common sense, and you don't have a thing to worry about. Just be mindful of where you live. If you know you're in an area that floods easily, just know where to go. And that's it. Stay with us. If you have a NOAA Weather Alert radio, then you're going to have everything you need to know, and you're going to know it before people that don't have one. Just watch us again. We'll continue with Facebook updates. The next advisory from the Hurricane Center is at 11 a.m. I'll update you on that. And watch us at noon, and we'll continue to talk about Hermine. And thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. And I'm going to hand over to the newsroom just to show you that we are working very much to get all of the updates to you as fast as we can and as reliably as we can. Turn the camera around just a second. You can see folks working in our newsroom, and there'll be more folks coming in just a moment. And we will certainly be updating you throughout the day and tomorrow, so stay with News for all of your weather needs and your news updates as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, by the weekend, if we can get through Friday night, then as we head into the weekend, the weather looking much better. Thanks for joining us. Continue to leave questions if you want to. Comment below, and we'll try to answer those as best we can. So I hope you have a great day and stay safe with the weather coming.